and welcome back. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, welcome back. If you're a subscriber, it really does help the channel grow if you hit like and subscribe. The channel's growing quite well. I'm really enjoying doing these videos. I've got a good one for you today, albeit a little bit it's an interesting one, but I'm continuing my Joy Division shootout series. I've done Closer, I've done Unknown Pleasures. Today is the turn of Still. So without further ado, let's crack on with the review. So today I have here, this is an original first pressing from 1981. It's still got a Virgin Records price label on it, which I think is date coded for 86. The Dead Wax tells me this is the first pressing, so maybe it just sat around in the shop for for 5 years. It's not unusual for that to happen. This wasn't a huge seller of theirs, so it wouldn't surprise me. The second copy I've got is from 2007. This is the Rhino reissue. Now, when this was first issued in 1981, the first 5,000, I think, were released in a Hessian cover. So I basically took the original cardboard jacket and bound it in a cardboard sleeve and held it together with a very flimsy white ribbon, which generally always wears down the bottom here, and mine's on its way out. I need a new one. But anyway, so it's a double album, as for the uninitiated. Album record 1 is studio outtakes from the Unknown Pleasures and Closer sessions, along with a few other bits and pieces. There is one live track on the first album, which is Sister Ray, which was recorded at the Moonlight Club in London in 1980. The second album is of more interest really to Joy Division fans because it's a live recording of their final concert, which was recorded 2 weeks before Ian Curtis committed suicide. It was recorded at Birmingham University, and it features an early rendition of the song Ceremony, but being performed by Joy Division, which would obviously later on be recorded by New Order after they renamed themselves after the demise of Joy Division. Right, so that's the brief backstory on this. So let's get on with the review. This was quite interesting because it was interesting, but in hindsight it was quite obvious. The original, let's just say the original, it's a compilation album, so it's made up from a lot of different sources. The tracks were from different sources. They were all recorded by Martin Hannett. There's certain tracks on the studio album where members of New Order were brought in 1981 to overdub extra bits and pieces. For example, on the song Walked in Line, Bernard Sumner was brought in by Martin Hannett in 1981 to overdub some guitar on the track. The original version of that is available on the Heart and Soul box set, minus the overdub guitar, but this has got the overdub guitar on it. The original version without the guitar is a lot more unpolished and rawer. But yeah, this is a lot more polished. The inclusion of Sister Ray, the Velvet Underground cover, I think was a mistake. It was not a very good choice to put on there. It's an awful song anyway. The Velvet Underground's version is barely listenable. The first, sort of 3 minutes or so of the song is quite listenable, but then after that, the remainder of the song is, it's just goes off on a tangent, and it's listenable, but you've got to be on something when you're listening to it. Joy Division's version of Sister Ray is more structured. but it's still a poor choice of a song to include when there's so many other songs out there they could have included. It also doesn't sit right to me with the Birmingham University concert. So why have a whole concert recorded at Birmingham University and include one track that was recorded at the Moonlight Club in London? It makes no sense to me. We know there's soundcheck recordings from Birmingham University. There are recordings of them performing Ceremony live during soundcheck, which has got all the vocals on it. Why didn't they include something like that? You know, it's a bit of a you know, it's a bit of an oddity, really, a bit of an odd one. But yeah, was it their best live performance? No, it wasn't. It wasn't their best live performance in my eyes. I think it's only poignant, really, and it's really sort of revered because it's the last concert that Ian Curtis ever done with them. There are better recordings out there that are official, that are recorded officially, that have never seen the light of day. For example, Paradiso Amsterdam. That should see an official release. It hasn't yet, and it absolutely blows this away. It really does. It blows this away. But I'm not here to critique the actual song choices so much as to talk about the quality of the recordings and how they translate onto vinyl. I'll say from the outset that I've always listened to, for the last 5 years I've been listening to the 2007 since I've had this, and it's really good. And then when I got this, the original first pressing, I thought, right, let's do a back-to-back. So I will say from the outset that I don't think this review is going to include the live recording. This is purely based on the studio album part of the release. I did do a back-to-back A/B test of some of the tracks off the live album, and it's negligible. It was poorly recorded anyway, so I don't think really you can improve them any more than what they already are, to be honest with you. I think the studio side would be a fairer A/B test. So I chose 3 or 4 songs that I'm really familiar with on this album, and that is Walked in Line, Sound of Music, Only a Mistake, and Glass. So I listened to all 4 of those tracks back to back, A/B, you know, between the 2 versions, and the conclusion that I drew was fairly quick, and that is the original first pressing is not as good as the 2007. It is marginal, but I think the reason for that is when they first released it in 1989, for want of a better word, it was a cash grab for them. They were trying to get as much out of Joy Division as they could. They were in a sort of a horrendous way. They were trying to cash in on Ian's death, and they threw Still together, and it was released a year and a bit after he died, and I think it shows in the mastering and the production on the album. When they got to remaster it in 2007, I think they had a different attitude to it in 2007, and I think they invested more time in it. Certainly, this seems to have more clarity to it, and more definition. It's got more dynamics to it. It is marginal because it's not, let's be honest, it's not a very well recorded album anyway. And as I said, the studio side are from very different sources, different sources here and there. But I think it was quite marginal. If you get that, the reissue, you're not doing yourself an injustice, put it that way. However, what I would say is paying £80 for that, paying £25 for that, I would go for an original pressing from a financial perspective. It's quite still low priced, so you can get a first pressing for about 25, 30 or £40, and that's in near mint condition. This, if taking the Hessian cover out of it, if you get the, they released a short while ago a white vinyl. Was it white? Or was it red vinyl? I can't remember what colour the vinyl was, but the cover was white with blue lettering. It was an anniversary pressing of Still. I haven't got it, obviously, else I would have shown it. That is currently changing hands for more than it costs to buy an original. Go figure. So what I suppose I'm getting at is, it's not a very well recorded album. So are you gaining anything by paying more money for a reissue, which does sound marginally better, or saving a few quid and getting a first pressing, which sounds just as good, really? The difference between the two is quite negligible. There's certain tracks are better than the original pressing. There's certain tracks on the 2007 that there's not much in it. You can't get a cigarette paper between them. It's quite close. I think that's just down to the original mastering choices. It's an odd one. This is an odd one still, because it's quite a disjointed album. It's not a cohesive album, if you know what I mean. There is one thing I want to say about this. This come out on CD in the mid-80s, and when it was first released on CD, they dropped the song 24 Hours off of the live album because it wouldn't fit on the CD. But they kept Sister Ray on, which, for want of a better word, is a really shit song. They took off 24 Hours, which, quite frankly, to me, is one of the best songs on the live album. It's one I listen to all the time. It's actually not credited on the jacket. It's an uncredited extra track. I say it's an extra track. It wasn't an extra track. It was performed at a concert, but it wasn't credited on the album. It was only ever available 24 Hours on the vinyl and the cassette versions of Still. It was dropped totally, and still is to this day, dropped from the CD release. I've never ever fathomed why they dropped that and didn't drop Sister Ray to make room on the CD. I think probably because, thinking about it now, the whole of the live album on Still, the whole of the live album is on one CD, and the whole of the studio album is on another CD. So to make the whole live album fit on one CD, they had to drop one track off the live album, and they chose 24 Hours. That's probably why, thinking about it now. But you know what? I think I probably would have dropped Sister Ray and put Ceremony on the end of the studio album of Still. The studio album, I would have took Sister Ray off and put Ceremony, the live version of Ceremony, on it instead. And that would have made room on the live album for 24 hours. That's what I would have done, I think. I would have made an executive decision and moved Ceremony, which, although it's a good recording, you can't hear Ian's vocals for most of the song anyway. I don't know why that is, but I think obviously they could hear him in the venue, but it wasn't being picked up by the recording on tape when they recorded it. It wasn't coming through the channel when they recorded it on the multi-track. So that's my thoughts on Still. If you want to save some money, get an original first pressing, strangely enough. Or if you want to spend a little bit more and get a smidgen better quality, get a reissue. Now, I don't know what the latest reissues are like. I can only speak for the 2007 issue I have here. What I will say about the 2007 issue is it has, as is the 2007 issues, A Closer and Unknown Pleasures, it has all the original dead wax etchings, the same as the original, which they've now removed from all the subsequent reissues. They've taken those dead wax etchings off, which, you know, it's not a deal breaker, but it's, as I said before in a previous video, it's that attention to detail that I like about the 2007 issues. But anyway, that's my 2p worth on Still. If you enjoyed that video, hit like and subscribe. Another one coming next week. Not sure what it's going to be yet. I'm going to think about that during the week, and I shall knock something together. Thank you. See you next week. Bye bye.